Everybody, it's Josh coming at you from Nerd Ventures Tower. Holy crap, we need to talk more about Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Disney Plus show just finished up, but the original writer of the movie that became the first season of Obi-Wan Kenobi has been speaking out. He's been saying some stuff that's quite freaking interesting. Now, if you didn't know, the first part of this whole story that came out was when this first writer, Stuart Beatty, explained that he was going to do a trilogy. He was originally planning a trilogy of films. He said Ewan McGregor was on board, everybody was on board, and then after Solo bombed, they stopped that. Lucasfilm pulled the plug on that and took his script for the first movie and brought on Joby Harold, and Joby Harold stretched out that original movie into the show that we got. Now, we talked about this on Nerd Theory on Monday night because, dang, it would have been dope to see this show actually done as a movie, and a lot of the best parts in the show seem to come directly from Stuart Beatty's original script. The show really feels like it should have been a movie, and that it is some kind of a movie that was stretched apart and made into this really weird show. And that's because that's essentially what happened. But the newest comments from the original writer about the Reva character are incredibly interesting and just further drive home how much changed from his version to what we got now. And I really wish that Beatty had been consulted more. So let's check this out. It says here, Obi-Wan Kenobi killed off Reva in original script exclusive. I'm just going to jump down to the comments from Beatty. He said here, when asked if Reva was in early drafts of the movie script, Beatty said, "She was my creation. I created Reva all the way through." He continued by discussing Reva's view on the Jedi as villains and how the character originally had no knowledge of Anakin being Darth Vader. He says here, yeah, except the only little difference in mine was she didn't know Darth Vader was Anakin, because I was like, how'd she know that? All she saw was Anakin as Anakin because he hadn't changed in the suit yet, right? So Anakin killed her friends, put the scar on her, almost killed her, left her for dead, basically. So in her mind, the Jedi Council were the biggest villains in the galaxy. She believed the lies that they were plotting a coup to overtake and get power and all that, but they were stopped by the clones. So she believed that's why she's hunting Jedi. Because she believed the Jedi are the worst, basically. And maybe I'm reading a little too far into this, but it seems like Reva was going to have a scar, like an actual physical scar, maybe on the face or something, after the events of Anakin killing all of the people in the temple. Beatty went on to talk about Reva's original fate, with the story ending with her dying at the hands of Vader in order to save Obi-Wan. Because I figured, how would she know that this thing in a mechanical suit that everyone calls Darth Vader is the guy who killed her or who tried to kill her? So it was Obi-Wan, kind of letting her in on that secret, and the revelation that makes her kind of go, oh my God, I've been wrong this whole time. And so she goes and basically saved by Kenobi by sacrificing herself, telling Vader, I killed Kenobi, and then Vader killed her, with her knowing that Vader would kill her. So that kind of completed her arc. So just a little bit different that she was, yeah, absolutely, the Inquisitor hunting Kenobi all the way through and driven by her own personal demons. Beatty also mentioned that while he thought the third sister had a vital role to play in the story, he felt she had to die. Yeah, killed by Vader at the end of it. Yeah, I wanted this story. I wanted her story to end. I wanted Reva to play her part in the Kenobi Vader story, which was essentially, at the end, she was the one that allowed Vader, basically told Vader to stop hunting Kenobi. You know, she ended the obsession Vader had with Kenobi. She claimed it was over, it's done. So that was her role to play. And she done so many terrible things, I felt she had to die. You can only redeem so much. The writer also confirmed that the original plans for the Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't include the other Inquisitors, just Reva. So no other plans to include the other Inquisitors. I knew I wanted a Darth Vader, obviously, as the big overall villain in this story, and I see him as the antagonist who was going to be more one-on-one with Obi-Wan throughout the show. So Reva really was the result of that. I knew I needed that character. Beatty continued, and describing how exploring the fallout of Order 66 helped to inform Reva's character and to take her to a place of understanding. And of course, there are so many great characters from the Purge, the great purge of the temple and everything. It just was like, okay, let's see what she was doing at the Purge. What if she saw something that went down? What if Anakin/Vader killed her, left her for dead, and sent her on this path? So all that kind of stuff just kind of made sense and allowed me to create a very confused, conflicted, blinded character filled with hate and rage and all the stuff that makes people want to be Sith and Sith acolytes, and take her to a place of understanding truth, understanding who Obi-Wan is, who Vader really is, and what her path is in the galaxy. The Obi-Wan Kenobi writer also touched on the struggle of bringing stakes to a prequel project involving Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, and how Reva could allow for Ewan McGregor's character to have someone to defeat or someone to save. We were always faced with the fact that Obi-Wan could never kill Darth Vader, so he needed to defeat someone. And so Reva was my attempt to give him someone to defeat or someone to save, because he's not going to save Vader. The Darth Vader storyline is going to end in a downer. So I wanted to save someone, and that's why I created Reva. He goes on to talk about how this character was actually created before Trilla, before the other character that was in Fallen Order. He said he hadn't played Fallen Order. I wrote this in 2017, so that was before I played Fallen Order. Then I played Fallen Order and was like, wow, this is Reva. Look, it's just a coincidence. I wanted to create a new character because I didn't want to be bound by any canon and with any of the others that have already been discussed, and I wanted freedom to take her where I wanted to take her. So that's why I created her for this story. And that's the other thing too. We're already using so many characters in established canon with Obi-Wan, Owen, Beru, so I was looking to create someone new. I even had Cody in mind, so I was looking to create someone new. And oh man, is this crazy, guys. Like, I have so many different thoughts going through my head about this. I mean, first of all, Reva not knowing about Luke and Leia, that's obviously not in here. Her not knowing about Vader's true identity, that would have been much better. The idea that Obi-Wan is fighting against Reva as sort of a surrogate for Vader, and he has the ability to either defeat her or save her, and really making her redemption an act of Obi-Wan's kindness and allowing her to literally elevate past all of the horrible things that were going on in the galaxy, the horrible stuff that happened to the Jedi, the horrible stuff that she had participated in as far as destroying other Jedi and Force sensitives, and to rise above that, try to put a closing on that, and sacrificing herself to Darth Vader to get him off the trail of Obi-Wan. That's like really significant and feels so much more in a line with the themes and the reality of Star Wars. Reva as a creation here of someone who just thinks that, like, she's basically bought in, right? She's completely bought in to the propaganda of the Empire, and seeing Anakin slaughter all of the people in the temple, she was like, dang, the Jedi are horrible. And so that's driving her, and that's driving her towards Kenobi. It just feels so much more like it's respecting the lore of Star Wars and not trying to make Reva this really overly important character that is like a main character within the story. She's instead a proper surrogate for the suffering and the horrible things that have happened to the Jedi, and her being none the wiser of what actually happened, what Obi-Wan was actually doing, and that being revealed to her by Obi-Wan just feels so much better for the character of Obi-Wan. And yes, her dying at the end of this would have really closed her arc, and I think been very powerful. You can't redeem everything, right? Like, that's what he's saying. Like, she's straight up a version of Vader that, just like Vader, gets redeemed at the end, right? And then because of just kind of like the rules of Star Wars, she sort of has to die. Like, I know a lot of people got butthurt about Ben Solo dying in Rise of Skywalker, but it's a very similar thing. Like, he can be redeemed, but he still has to pay the piper in a certain way. So, man, it's just crazy to me. Like, I know I'm not really trying to dogpile on Kenobi because I felt like that ending was really cool. But, man, this Stuart Beatty guy just seemed like he had his finger on the pulse. It seems like he really understood the world and the characters. And the movie that he was going to make, and perhaps even the trilogy that he was going to make, would have been much better. It really feels like they did a lot of weird stuff with Reva under Joby Harold and with this show in general. And there was, according to Making Star Wars, a version of the story where Reva would still go to Vader and be killed. And I think that they changed that just to continue this Reva character and to have her persist in like a second season or something like that. But they've totally lost the plot. Like, they don't even understand what the character was originally there for and why she was important to that plot line. Again, she's a real surrogate for Vader. And in this version, it just makes way more sense. Again, maybe I'm reading too far into it, but he's also kind of implying that she would literally have a scar and look more menacing, which I think would have really helped as well. Like, this is a straight up dark side, horrible person that becomes redeemed through truth and, through this closing of the arc for Vader looking after Kenobi. It just feels so much better for the Star Wars canon. And I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that Lucasfilm was like, nah, like, this is fine, but let's bring Joby Harold in and have him write it as more of a Scooby-Doo type show, and then let's not kill Reva off because she's so dang cool and important, and that just creates all kind of canonical problems now moving forward. So, dude, it's so freaking wild, man. I don't know what to think about this. It's mind-blowing to me that you seem to have this thing going on with Lucasfilm where they hire people that actually know Star Wars and that love it, and then they put something forward with a lot of thought, a lot of love, and it fits into the canon. And for whatever reason, Kathleen Kennedy seems to be like, no thank you, and bring on other people that don't know as much and just sort of hack job it into being whatever piece of product they need. And it really does feel like it's content rather than story. And that doesn't feel that great. So those are my thoughts about the original ending for Reva, the original writer, his version of Kenobi, and how frustrated I am with the version of Kenobi we got, especially when you compare it to a lot of the stuff that Stuart Beatty was going to do. Those are my thoughts. I'm sure you have some thoughts, so let me know what you think in the comments section below.